Oh, and then he called me afterwards. He told me my career's over. And then he showed me a picture of Marge Simpson wearing something similar.
Scott Disick is feeling left out of the family in this week's episode of The Kardashians. Hey everyone, welcome back to Shared News. If you're new here, before we jump into all the details on this week's episode of The Kardashians, please make sure you subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, I'm your host, Morgan Wright. Today, I am joined by my dear friend, Zachary Reality and Allison Van Dam. We're gonna get into the biggest moments, which one of them happens right off the jump. We realize that Kourtney reveals she broke her $1 million engagement ring. So the story goes a little bit like this. She was folding laundry. She took her ring off, put it next to her. She went to put something away up on top of her closet. She steps back down and breaks her ring. You guys, what did you think of this? What do you think a $1 million engagement ring wouldn't break?
I mean, I hope that it would at least be insured. Honestly, my first thought was like, oh no, this is a bad omen. Like, this is your sign to not get married. And I know how contradictory that could sound because we know Kravis is couple goals. Like, there's no denying how much they just like shine together and they're in love. But if my ring broke, I would be like, I'm not gonna marry this dude.
I feel like we needed more context of, was she wearing shoes? Like, I just don't know how this happened. I don't know why she took it off to begin with. Like, she said she was folding sweatshirts. Was it snagging somehow? Like, I need more context as to why she thought that was a smart decision. But I will say, I was recently at a bachelorette party for a friend, and she has a decent sized engagement ring, and we were all doing dishes after, staying in one night, and I moved her ring out of the way. And it just like was this moment where I was like, you can have a decent sized engagement ring and it's still relatively small. So I can understand how, if you're wearing shoes and if you put all your weight down on it, it could break. I'm not sure I would take it as far as like it being an omen, but I would have reacted the exact same way. I would have been crying. I would have been so afraid to tell my fiance that I broke his $1 million ring. And I'm glad that hopefully everything worked out. It got fixed and we're back on track for the Kravis wedding.
Yeah, I mean, as the newly engaged member of Shared News, I do have to say that I take my ring off a lot to do chores, whether it's laundry or dishes or, to wash my hair. So I feel like it's totally not out of the realm of possibility that an accident like this would happen. For some reason, it kept taking me back to the moment where Kim lost her diamond earrings in the ocean. And I was just wishing we had that moment of Kourtney on camera.
Diamond earring came up in the ocean and it's gone. And there's people that are dying.
Just so that we could compare the two crying about their diamonds.
And then Kim could have been like, Kourtney, there's people that are dying, and she could have got it right back at her. That was a missed opportunity. I think that the whole situation was a missed opportunity, but clearly Kourtney films a little bit less, I think, than the other sisters, but it would have been so fun to see Kourtney break down on camera and cry, because we don't get to see that, side of Kourtney. Even when she got engaged to Travis, like, she was just like, yeah, of course. Love that.
Yeah, she's just in a happy phase of her life, not doing a ton of crying. But when you break $1 million ring, it deserves a few tears to be shed. Let's move on to Kim. In this episode, she's going through a little bit of an identity crisis, saying that she doesn't know who she is without Kanye styling her. She also talks about how she doesn't want to comment on negative things in regards to Kanye. She says when he talks about things, it's seen as creative and art, but when she discusses it on the show, it's looked at very differently. Allison, do you think that Kim has a point?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think we have multiple factors working against Kim and toward Kanye in this way. I mean, not only do we have the fact that he's a man and she's a woman and everything a woman says is going to be more harshly regarded, we have how they came into the spotlight. I think a lot of people, there's a lot of hype around Kanye. He was such a popular rapper. Now he's a businessman. He's a visionary. He's a designer. And despite Kim's mega success in fashion, in business, everyone's going to look at her as a washed up reality star who was made famous because of a sex tape. And there's still so many haters of Kim out there. So it's not surprising in the slightest. I mean, not to draw like a very funny comparison, but we even compare like the Kanye and Taylor Swift drama. They're both successful musicians. If Kanye talks bad about Taylor, He has people rallying behind him, anti-Taylor. The second Taylor tries to do something calm, cool, and collected, everyone's coming after her. It's like, it's very similar vibes to me of Kanye can kind of go out there and market it as art, and he has such a big following that any woman who kind of tries to do the same thing is just automatically fighting an uphill battle.
I kind of feel like Kim needs to have more confidence in herself. I mean, I was shocked when she said that. I understand that Kanye like styles her and stuff, but Kim is so much more than Kanye on her own, and she has been for a really long time. Like, I'm a Kim fan. There's so many Kim fans out there, and so many people that look up to her as an entrepreneur and a businesswoman and a mom. She's studying to be a lawyer. I understand that she's probably feeling insecure. This is her third marriage that failed, and she's 40. Like, that's upsetting. And I mean, I understand why she might be a little embarrassed of that, you know? I don't know if she should get married again, but I also think that, you know, she puts her heart and soul into everything, and I understand that she's upset, and I think that she'll get out of it, especially when she passes the bar exam, hopefully next week. I'm like, for some reason, forgetting what actually happened, so no spoilers. But like, I think she's gonna pass, and I think she just needs to kind of take a minute and get her groove back, and she will.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think that she will. I thought the funniest moment of the episode was between her and Scott in her closet when he was like going off about wearing that tight ass dress, showing your big butt. Like, I was cracking up.
Fat ass tight Missoni dress. Some big ass heels with that big ass hanging out. And even looking fire.
And Scott was such a main player in this episode. Before we get to him, we did have a little bit of a celebrity guest appearance from HAILEY BIEBER, which is cool. But watching it back, I was like, what is the point of this? Zach, do you think that there was a point, or do you think they just wanted the name HAILEY BIEBER on the show?
When I think Kendall was like, Hailey, I don't even want to film this show. Please film with me. Like, they're making me take the cameras to Miami. I don't like this. Hailey, please. That's kind of how I looked at it. And then they gave us like the bare minimum of them like going through IVs. And like, they're too cool, I guess, to like even want to film a scene. But it would have been fun if we saw them like walking down the street in Miami, and we really got us to see like a glimpse of their life being like these young, cool models. But I guess they are just too cool for school. And I mean, I liked the moment, but I wish we got more from them, because it's not fun to watch people who don't want to be there. They don't want to do what they're doing. And it just feels like every scene Kendall is just so checked out.
Yeah. I mean, Allison, you're nodding your head, so I take it you agree. Is that the same vibe that you get from Kendall and even Hailey?
Yeah, no, I'm completely with you. I was kind of just bored by the whole scene, and I wish we would have gotten more context. I was talking to Zach about this earlier as to why she was going to Miami, because obviously we saw later she missed Kris's whole birthday dinner, which maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe they have enough events, but if I could help it, I would love not to miss my mom's birthday if the rest of the siblings are going to be there. So I wish we would have maybe gotten them either traveling or going out or maybe on a shoot. Like, I want to see that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're not here to get like the IV bags. I was just kind of like, okay, but I like wanted to skip through it a little bit. And I don't need to see a needle going into anyone's arm, because I will be hitting the deck real soon. So the whole scene could have been skipped, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like they're really trying to up the level of celebrity in this new show. I mean, think of how many celebrity appearances there have already been in 5 episodes. I mean, Amy Schumer, HAILEY BIEBER, Ellen has been on 2 different episodes on 2 separate occasions. So I feel like maybe they're just trying to drop a name here and there to get more people to watch, but I totally could have done without this scene. It just seems like you guys said, like, they don't want to be there, either one of them. But the major theme of this week's episode is Scott and him feeling excluded from the family. It all starts with this very awkward conversation between Kris and Scott in a diner about not inviting him to Kris's birthday dinner. Kris is in a very hard position. What do you think she should do here, Zach? Should she invite Scott to everything automatically? Or do you think, she needs to kind of tread lightly?
Yeah, and it really makes me wonder if Scott is only feeling like this because the show is filming again, because I kind of feel like when the cameras were down, they maybe weren't hanging out with Scott as much. So now that he's like a cast member, maybe Scott is like, hey, I want to be in all these episodes so I can get my paycheck. Like, you're not just like affecting me by making me feel left out. You need to invite me to things so that I can get paid. He's a cast member on the Kardashians. I think that Kris is doing the best she can, as well as Kendall and all the sisters, posters, including Scott everywhere he possibly can. But at the end of the day, it's like Kourtney is the family. She's in a new relationship. She's now engaged. Like, Scott, you don't need to be included in everything. Like, most families, like when you're divorced, you don't invite the other person to every single gathering. Like, it's just not really how it goes. So I think Scott needs to just like focus on himself and stop feeling bad for himself all the time, because it's like he makes his problems so much bigger because he's his own worst enemy.
Yeah, and we do get to Kris's birthday party at her new house, and Scott is there, and Kourtney and Travis is there. And you guys, for the first time, as a Travis lover myself, for the very first time in this episode, I was like, the PDA is a little much. Like, can they please just stop for 1 second? Am I the only person that felt that way? What did you think of them at the party, Allison?
Oh, absolutely not. Like, I don't know. I myself feel like I come from like a Midwestern, very religious family. So I would automatically be uncomfortable. They're a very, very different family than mine. So I know it runs a little differently, but I'm like, this isn't your engagement dinner anymore. This is your mom's birthday. And like, it's not just the family. We have Ellen and Portia over in the corner. We have your baby daddy, your ex in the other. It felt too much to me. And I don't want to, yuck anyone's yum. And I don't want to tell them to like put their passion aside. But I'm like, there is a time and a place. And I don't think Kris's birthday dinner was the ideal situation for that.
They're trying to make a baby, Allison. Like, let them make their baby. They also did this when they were touring houses.
Birthday party.
Kris Jenner would not care. She wants more grandchildren. I feel like she condones this. Also, when they were looking at houses a few episodes ago, they were literally straddling each other, and like the real estate agent is like 2 feet over. Honestly, like, it is a lot. I personally would not care. I would be like, okay, like a nice little show. But it's really weird because Scott is right there. And like, this is honestly another reason why Scott isn't invited places, because they know the PDA is so extra. So it's probably like an extra layer. So Scott needs to not take it personally.
Yeah, I agree. It was very uncomfortable, even just to see Scott's, reaction to the two of them being there. At one point, he said, "I'm not even hungry." Now, who's to say that's because of Kourtney and Travis? But they definitely made it seem that way, the way they edited it together. So that was an awkward moment. Another really awkward moment, and the internet is in an uproar over Kendall Jenner cutting her cucumber. And why doesn't Kendall Jenner know the appropriate way to cut a cucumber? I mean, did you guys notice this in the episode? What were your thoughts?
She should have asked the chef. I mean, Kris said multiple times, we have a chef. I guess Kris Jenner just has a chef like hanging around her house all day, which is iconic. So it's just like, let the man do his job, Kendall.
Yeah, I think this is a very common thing. Like, Kris Jenner has been having a chef for years, like for a long, long time, helping her out, and probably just now has someone on retainer. But I think at first Kris was, impressed that Kendall wanted to do it herself. But then Kris, like the rest of America, saw how she was attacking that knife, and she was like, please, darling, your body is your job. Like, just let the chef do it. It's too dangerous.
And it's so funny because, earlier in the episode, Kendall's like, we're so dedicated to our health journey, and you don't even know how to cut a freaking cucumber yourself, Kendall. Like, are you really that dedicated? But I won't be too shady about that. It was just a very funny moment. And then the big moment, we got this huge fight between Scott and Kendall. She was eating those said cucumbers during the fight. Scott was mad that Kendall didn't invite him to her birthday dinner / party. Kendall says it was intimate. It was just 15 of her closest friends. Whose side are you guys on in the Kendall-Scott fight? Allison, why don't you go first?
Yeah, so I watched this first, and then obviously we saw the part where Kendall got so frustrated and stormed off and said, play the tapes back. So I listened to my girl Kendall, and I played the tapes back, and I watched it again. And she's right. Scott said that she avoided the question, said she never had a birthday party. But when he first brought it up, after they stopped talking about Kris's birthday, he said, and I didn't get invited to your birthday, or why didn't you invite me to your birthday? And Kendall just was like, no one was invited to my birthday. She never once negated the fact that she had one. She was like, no one was invited to my party. Da 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 da. And then he starts talking about the dinner, and she clarifies, and she even has that moment of realization. She goes, oh, my birthday dinner. And she was like, that was really small. I wasn't even planning on inviting family, but then Kourtney was there. Kris, I think, added to the confusion because she was saying, oh, she had her birthday party at the club, that was her birthday. And Kendall was like, no, there was a dinner. You were there. There were two separate things, neither of which seemed like they were the ideal location or situation to be inviting Scott. As Kendall said, she was like, if I'm going to have an intimate dinner, I'm going to prioritize my sister's comfort over everything because she was a last minute invite. And I feel the exact same way. Like, as someone with a sister, I would have handled it the same way. I think Scott maybe was already hurting from, his kids not being at the proposal, him not getting an original invite to Kris's. So I just think he was automatically on the defense. And then it just kind of got out of hand.
Yeah, but also, I guess in Scott's defense, Kendall's saying it was an intimate dinner, but it was like 15 people. I mean, I don't know how many friends you guys have, but 15 people is a party, okay? Yep. 15 people at my house, like, we're getting lit. Like, these are all of my friends that I have, and a couple people brought plus ones. So, I mean, I think that I understand why Scott felt a little slighted, but the thing is, no one is gonna want to invite you places in the future if you keep, like, complaining about it. Like, it just felt like Kendall explained herself, and then Scott kept badgering her on and on again until he like pushed her to no end, where she was like, I'm leaving this room. I don't need to be here. So I just feel like Scott in the future needs to just like go with the flow, because at this point, everyone's heard him loud and clear. He wants to be included. He wants to be a part of the family. We get it. And you are going to be included. They want you in the family, but if you keep annoying everybody about not being invited to every little lunch or dinner, you're just going to drive them farther and farther away. And that's ultimately what pushed Kendall to leave the room.
Yeah, I will say I agree with you, Allison. And I think that Kendall just got the brunt of Scott's frustration, because there had been all these other instances where Scott wasn't invited to this and Scott wasn't invited to that. And, the one time that he's face to face with Kendall, it just so happened to be that they're talking about her intimate birthday. And this is why at first I was Team Scott in the whole fight, because at first I didn't really get it. I didn't really understand, did you have a birthday? Did you not? Was it a dinner? Was it a party at a club? Like, I don't get it. And then I thought, 15 of your intimate friends, that's not intimate. The same thing that Zach said. I was like, if I'm Scott and I'm technically your brother, I'm technically blood, like you say in your confessionals, but I'm not in your top 15. Like, come on. So I was just confused by the whole thing. And I think that the way that they both came at each other really didn't make matters any better. I was confused by Kendall's not her reaction, but her explanation. And I feel like really all she had to do was say, Scott, it's not what you think that it was. I hear you, and I have been on your side the whole time. And I think the conversation would have gone really, really different. But of course, we end each recap with our MVP and our LVP, most valuable and least valuable of the entire episode. So Zach, who do you got?
Okay. I mean, I think my MVP is going to Kris Jenner. I think she had the most fabulous birthday party ever. I mean, like, look at her new house. Let's just give it to her because her new house. It is so custom designed for Kris Jenner. The rooms, the everything. It's just so much fabulousness. So Kris Jenner is definitely my MVP. And my LVP is going to Scott Disick. I think he gave us a lot of like content to talk about, but ultimately it's just watching him is like watching a nagging horse. He never stops complaining, and it's just really getting old. I mean, we've all had a friend like that. I've even been that friend at times where I'm like complaining about everything. It's not a fun friend to be around, and I really want Scott to get out of his funk. Maybe him and Kim should go on like a fun date because they both could help each other get out of their funks.
So my MVP is also going to Kris Jenner, but for a different reason. Obviously, we love her house. It's so her. It's everything's to a T, and I loved that. But my favorite scene of this entire episode was the morning before Kim took her baby bar, and it's Kim and Kris at the breakfast table, no makeup on. Kim is studying. Kris is there to like support her and say a prayer. And like that to me just was really impressive and cool, because despite their millions and billions of dollars and these drivers and these chefs, like that's what a mom and daughter does. Like I've watched my mom do that with my sister for all of her med school exams and like wake up early and drive her to these tests and whatever. And it's like, Kris didn't do any glam. She didn't put anything into it. She's there in like PJs basically just to make sure that Kim knew she was supportive of her and be there with her. And I'm like, Gosh, Kris just rocks. I am obsessed with Kris. Like, I have an application ready if she wants any future children because I'm ready to go. But I would say LVP, and it's not even this episode, it's in the teaser for the next episode, is Tristan, because of that freaking comment he made to Khloe when they're working out. And she's like, you know, Kanye's stuck with us. Like, we're stuck with Kanye. We're stuck with Scott. They're part of the family. And he's like, you're stuck with me forever. And I was like, I'm so done with him. We know what's going on behind the scenes. He's done. I'm over him. He wasn't even in the episode. I'm already done with him. So those are mine.
I feel that. It was rough.
Okay, you guys aren't going to like mine. My MVP for the episode is Scott. He gave us everything. He gave us laughter. He gave us drama. He gave us stuff to talk about. And I'm not voting on who I like the most. I'm voting on the most valuable. So for this episode, it would have been pretty boring without Scott and all of his drama. My least valuable player, I'm going to say, is Hailey and Kendall. I hated the scene. I hated the fact that Kendall didn't know how to cut a cucumber. So to me, they're both the LVPs. But you guys, let us know in the comments what you thought of episode 5, where you think Scott should be, you know, in the family. Should he be invited to everything? Does he kind of need to pull it back a little bit? What did you think of Hailey and Kendall? We'd love to hear your guys' questions, your comments, all of your opinions as well. You can come say hi to each one of us on our social media pages. Our handles are on the screen now. And make sure you subscribe to our channel, like the video before you go so you don't miss out on any of our recaps. And we will see you back here next time. Bye.
See ya.